Hey everybody, what's going on? George, the Disney Italiano, here with my boy Orange Grove 55 here at Wizarding World. We are here for the opening weekend of Universal's Fan Fest. The event did not start yet. We're here a little bit early, kind of getting an early gameplay, if you will, to kind of get the lay of the land to see what everything's going on. But we're going to be doing a bar chat in the meantime. Um, so let's get into it. So it's more so like what our expectations are going to be
Right.
for tonight. And I mean, I've seen a lot of videos and everything for the opening night, which was Friday, and it looked positive. I mean, it looked a lot of fun. There was like a lot, especially with Back to the Future,
Oh my God.
because I mean, every single person that I've talked to about Back to the Future said that they were down in Hill Valley for like 3 to 4 hours.
Right. We talked to our friend Theme Park Wizard. He was saying that.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the thing, right? George and I have been on camera. We talked a lot about these Disney after events hours, right? 90s night, we talked about it. Star Wars night, we talked about it. I know our good friend Mr. Webba has talked about Sweetheart Night with his wife. You know, a lot of these events, Disney has really gotten lazy with a lot of these events. You know,
Yeah.
they've cut back, they've cut back, they cut back. Universal seems to be really going all in on this stuff. You know, we got projection mapping on the courthouse for Back to the Future. We got the lightning strike.
That's wild.
And this is the thing too, dude. This is the thing too. What did I say in the 90s night video? I said these characters should be walking around Disneyland.
Mhm.
None of this like velvet rope crap with the whole like, you know, Darkwing Duck thing.
Yes.
We got to get in line 2 hours before the event starts
to get a wristband.
to get a wristband to go see Darkwing. He's Darkwing Duck, Launchpad, all the DuckTales, you know, characters, Tailspin, all the 90s characters should just be walking around Disneyland willy nilly, and that's how you should be immersed in it.
Which is quite odd because when you think of Disneyland Park, they have the characters walking around on a normal basis
Right.
during regular park hours.
Right.
So why would you not want to have that aspect for an after hours event that has less people in there? I don't understand.
I don't understand it. And this is what Universal's doing. I've seen a lot of footage, and we're going to check it out tonight. So we'll have a full review. And if it's terrible, we'll say it's terrible. You know what I'm saying? But from what we've seen, it looks amazing. But they just have like Doc Brown walking around. They got Marty McFly. They have all the characters from Back to the Future just walking around, interacting with guests or fans. You know, that's what Disney should have done for their 90s night, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so we'll see. But going into this, I'm expecting to be blown away. Now, my only critique going into it is, aside from Back to the Future and maybe Star Trek, I feel like a lot of the IPs they chose are very niche.
Yes, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm not like a huge anime guy. I respect anime. I love the art form because I do respect. I love what the Japanese do with animation, but I'm not huge into it though. Like personally, One Piece I'm sure is really huge, but it is still feeling a little bit like a niche thing to me.
I think, in my opinion, what I think Universal is doing is they're kind of beta testing. They're filling the waters to kind of see what works, what doesn't. And I feel like if they use all their grand IP at once, then there's nothing more for them to go on moving forward. I feel like that they're kind of using, I don't want to say weak IP because Star Trek, One Piece, Dungeons and Dragons, they're all great IP.
They're strong IP, yeah.
But in a theme park environment, you know, it's like how well is that going to be? So I think they just chose one strong IP of theirs, which is Back to the Future, on top of to the fact of that we are all speculating that Back to the Future is going to come back in a big way. So, and I think that's also a beta test in itself.
Yeah, I hope Back to the Future does, because Back to the Future seems to be the star of the show.
Yeah,
the belle of the ball at this fan fest. You know, we've seen a lot of content creators, fellow content creators out there. Mm-hmm. They've had a ball at this fan fest. We're gonna check it out tonight. But Back to the Future, time and time again, with all these content creators coming back saying that this is like really the thing that's really hitting home. You know, so we'll see. I mean, you had a great idea today, George, when we were talking about like maybe next time do Jaws.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely love to see, because what they're doing with Back to the Future is the actual set, the real life set. This is how creative Universal's being right now. They are literally taking the actual location where they filmed the 1985 film, and actually its sequels, and basically they're bringing it to life again in a whole new way. They're actually having the performers reenact different scenes from the movie, and they're having like the clock tower with the lightning strike, and
Amazing,
and
dude.
the fire like on the ground from the tires,
Yes.
of the
Even the spinning license plate.
yeah. See, like it's those small minor details that make all the difference.
Yeah.
So kind of going to what OG was saying was if they were to take that and move it forward with more of Universal's IP. So maybe next time with Jaws, take the fans over to the Jaws area that's part of the tram tour, and maybe have
Throw them in the water and let Jaws go after them.
exactly. There you go. We all have to sign a liability waiver.
It works. It works. I mean, the scuba diver in that attraction is George.
It's George. Yeah.
I mean,
See,
they always say
Yeah.
it. Hey, George, you
Yeah.
okay, buddy? You okay?
Yeah.
Oh no.
It shows how much Brian Roberts really cares about me. So
Yeah, right. He's like, oh, this guy's a
George.
Bob Iger yes man. He's expendable.
Yeah, it's
You
like
know. But that's a great IP. Jaws is a great
Yeah.
IP. But look, I don't want to make it seem like I'm dismissing One Piece, because One Piece is a big IP. But I just feel like when you only have like maybe 3 or 4 IPs to work with for a fan fest,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like the lineup could have been a little stronger, right?
yes,
A little bit. I mean, Star Trek is pretty big. I mean, obviously, it's very big. But I don't know. We'll see what they do next year. But Back to the Future, I love that. And I love what it means for the future of Back to the Future in the parks. Because if Universal's seeing these numbers and they see that, you know what? Back to the Future is the one bringing in all the money, all the attention, all the influencers are like, going nuts over Back to the Future. That bodes well. Universal is very good at listening to their fans.
Mhm.
And if they see that Back to the Future is crushing it at this fan fest, I hope that means we're going to get the Back to the Future ride here at Hollywood.
It's very possible. I mean, because the UK park that Universal's going to be building very soon. They didn't officially confirm, but I mean, speculation is they're creating like a Hill Valley with a Back to the Future roller coaster. So that would be very interesting. That would be a complete game changer, and especially again, they're also showcasing Back to the Future a lot with this fan fest with the merch, and they very well could bring it back to the domestic parks, and I hope they do. But yeah, like going off of like what they're doing with this fan fest, if they were to do the same kind of uh, ingredients, so to speak, with Jaws, you could have Hooper, you could have Chief Brody, you could have Quint, kind of like walking uh, Amity Island and everything.
Man.
I mean, that would be awesome. Maybe do something more with ET. I know you're very bitter that they got rid of ET for the Mummy. So what a great way to bring ET back in a big way.
Yeah, the problem with the ET situation here in Hollywood is that they took an everybody ride, something that Universal doesn't really have a good hold on.
Mhm.
Universal, I love Universal. I've been at Universal Hollywood more now this year than I have Disneyland. No cap. No cap. I mean, I've been here more than Disneyland, right? But one thing that Universal struggles at is these everybody rides, these Pirates of the Caribbean rides, Haunted Mansion rides that everybody can go on. And they got rid of ET, which is kind of like that everybody ride, and they replaced it with Mummy, which not everyone wants to do that. Not everyone wants to do the backwards roller coaster thing.
Right.
So, and I know actually Steven Spielberg was also pretty ticked off about that whole situation. So, I mean, ET is a fantastic franchise. But going back to the Future, I want to see Comcast. Comcast has done a really, really good job with Universal's theme parks. We've seen Epic Universe now, very solid park, and just countless stuff they've done. Right? I want to see them tackle this franchise. What can the current company do? What can G Prodigy do? Yeah, my boy G Prodigy. I love G Prodigy. What can G Prodigy do with Back to the Future?
And he's very talented.
Oh, very.
We see he has the chops to do it.
Oh, 100%. Velocicoaster, Monsters Unchained. I want to see what he or Universal Creative can do with Back to the Future. You know what I'm saying? And we might see that, dude. I mean, I'm telling you, this fan fest might be a real eye opener. And this is the other thing too. I love Universal IP. The classic IP. You're talking American Tail, Back to the Future, E.T., Jaws. All these great IP. They're bangers. Universal lost me for a few years when they were so minion heavy.
Yes.
Minions are great for the kiddos, but I'm not a kiddo, and I'm not really. I mean, I think that they should mix it up a little bit. Universal's finally learning to lean into that nostalgia now.
Exactly.
and
Yes.
lean into what made Universal Universal, even with the monsters, man.
Yeah. And again, at the end of the day, these are awesome theme parks. It's like, why even bring the kids in the first place?
Come on,
Yeah.
you know?
But
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think it's very interesting that Universal added days for FanFest
Right.
to keep up with the demand. I guess they kind of saw the data that the night, like each night was selling out. So for the demand, they had to add more days.
Yeah.
For Disneyland Star Wars night, they're trying to get people to buy tickets. They're trying to actually give tickets away to cast members
Yeah.
because there's so many nights still available.
Because Disney doesn't have the balls to do what it takes to do what it takes to really get these things going. Yeah. George and I talked many times, and a lot of it was on my channel, Orange Book 55. But I'll repeat it here because not everyone watches every video. Not everyone is subscribed to my channel. But Disney had an opportunity with 90s Night to do a lot of cool stuff. We talked about it. You could have done a cool little fun like Michael Eisner thing.
Yeah.
You know, like hello, Michael Eisner, head of the Walt Disney Company. The fans, anyone going to 90s Night, they're diehard Disney nerds.
Oh, they would get it.
They
Absolutely.
would get it. They would love that. That would be so. Oh my god! All the influencers would eat that up. It'd be all over Instagram, all over social media, man. It would be such a fun thing. But Disney doesn't want to do that. They don't want to take the risk. They want to play things safe. Oh, they're gonna buy the ticket anyway. So who really cares? Even this year with 90s Night, they didn't do the fireworks. They did 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There's no excuse for that, Disney. Universal right now, they're going all out because they're hungry. They want this. Now here's the thing. Is Universal going to maintain this?
See, that's the other thing too. It's very telling. It's not just counting the first time because Disney showed that they can do it. When they did 90s Night 6 years ago, when they did Star Wars Night for the first time for Sweethearts Night, they pulled out all the stops. They had fireworks, they had everything set perfectly. But then when they started bringing those events back, they were kind of diluted. So it's going to be very telling to see how FanFest is tonight. But we can't just stick to our laurels and say, okay, Universal has this in the bag. They have the formula, but are they going to keep it? That's the question.
That's the question. Our buddy Sean, Ranking the Mouse, mentioned this, I think in our DMs, right? Where like, yeah, they had a great first weekend here at FanFest. 100% they did. All the flowers to Universal for that. But are they going to maintain this year after year after year? That's the big question. And if they do, kudos to them.
Yes.
Yeah, Disney needs to get consistent though. Yeah. Because even Oogie Boogie Bash, a lot of fans have been complaining that that's been getting a little stale too.
I have heard that. Now, I still enjoy Oogie Boogie. I feel like for me, it does do enough, like on the Disney standpoint. I prefer it over Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party down in Magic Kingdom. But it's going to come a time where are they going to keep on repeating themselves, and how many times are they going to do that? Especially since as year after year goes on, ticket prices are going to keep going up.
Right. Exactly. And one of the issues that I have actually, this is a nitpick aside, that's kind of a side quest right now, but the Mickey's Not So Scary thing, I hate how they called it that because it implies it's just for kids.
Yes.
It's a very kiddie sort of name.
Yeah.
Like Oogie Boogie Bash seems more like everybody, like, okay, cool. Like this is a fun Halloween thing. But when you call it Mickey's Not So Scary, you're implying this is just for kids.
Does that kind of worry you when they're going to be adding a new land based on the villains in that same park? And if they add more of a Halloween theme to villains, because obviously we know they're going to do that.
Right.
But is it going to be the kid-friendly villains?
I hope not. And I actually did a video on OG55 with Mr. Webba about this last night about villains. Even if they nail the land itself, let's just say we get a dark universe style land. What about the costume characters? When you have Hades and Frodo and they look very cartoony, like the villains you see in the parades look very cartoony. Or how are they going to fit aesthetically into a villain's land? Should they go into a more realistic sort of approach with the walk around characters for villain's land? And Ebba and I were talking about maybe they should.
Now for Oogie Boogie Bash, when it comes to Hades, I love how they have the outfit kind of like where his fiery hair changes to his mood,
That's cool.
blue and red. I think if they were to keep that aspect, but incorporate it within the park, I don't want to see Hades walking around with this kind of like poofy cotton candy afro. Like,
Well,
you have to.
he's cheesy. He's like so cartoony for like that like land.
Yeah,
Like for a parade, it's one thing, but when you're walking around this like dark, kind of creepy area, and you see Hades, it's like, what is this?
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe they have to reinvent those walk around characters for that land. I don't know. We'll see how it all works out. I mean, this is a long ways away still, so we'll see.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, I think it's something that if Disney's watching this, something that you should think about because the cartooniness of the walk arounds might clash heavily with like we're right now we're filming this from the Three Broomsticks in Wizarding World and see all like the beautiful stonework and it's like very real. Like, can you imagine like a colorful, like cartoony villain walking in here? It would clash with it, right? Like,
And based off of the concept art, now again, you have to take Disney's concept art with a grain of salt because things change, things look different. But from that first initial piece of concept art that they showed of Villain's Land, I love how it looks.
Mhm.
It has that dark, rigid,
it's perfect.
gothic style, and it's like right off of the Haunted Mansion, which Magic Kingdom's Haunted Mansion has a gothic style look to the manor, so it fits. So yeah, so are the villain characters going to be represented in the same way the architectural style is?
I hope so. I hope so. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. But yeah, going into FanFest tonight, I'm excited. We got as of recording this, we only have like maybe a couple hours,
Yeah,
maybe 2 or 3 hours until we check out FanFest. So we are going to have coverage on both Citrico Central and Orange Grove 55, all about FanFest, Universal FanFest. We will give everybody our honest review of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that good stuff.
yes.
So
Yeah, on both of our channels, we don't mince our words. We tell it like it is. Some of it's positive and some of it's not so positive. But you know what? It's constructive criticism, and it's like we hope that Disney and Universal takes it well, so that way they can fix the issues. If there is any. But I also wanted to bring something else to your attention. Speaking of villains, and speaking of Star Wars, because I mentioned Star Wars night, recently this past weekend, I basically had my own kind of little mini Star Wars weekend, so to speak. I went to the El Capitan twice. I went for the prequel trilogy, episodes 1, 2, and 3, and last night, at the time of this recording, Abby and I went for the 20th anniversary of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So I went Thursday, and I went Saturday. I missed Friday, and lo and behold, Friday is when Hayden Christensen and Samuel L. Jackson were at the Hellcap. Go figure.
I would. Okay, first of all, Sam Jackson, dude, that's crazy. That would be
Yeah.
awesome. And Hayden Christensen, I love that guy. I love what he brought to his character. I'm an older dude in the sense where like the original trilogy is more my generation, but I actually like. I think I like the prequels even a little bit more though, and a lot of that is because of Hayden and Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker is like one of my favorite Star Wars characters.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's actually what I wanted to talk about. You know as well as I do, especially for how many times I've been to the Alcap now. When you go into that theater, whatever movie you're seeing, you have the diehard fans. Like they are into it.
Yeah.
And what I find very interesting that the fandom kind of pointed out to me with the character of Anakin is he's a very complex character in the sense that when he's Anakin Skywalker, they cheer for him, they root for him because he's the hero.
Right.
But when he becomes Vader, they cheer for him as the villain. Like, okay, this is going to sound morbid, folks, but I kid you not, this is actually really what happened. During the scene of Episode 3, when Anakin turned to the dark side and he goes to the Jedi Temple to kill the younglings, and he's there in that scene, you had these grown men in the theater shouting, "Do it! Do it!" And it was like, oh my gosh, like for a minute you were just cheering for him as the hero, but now you're cheering for him as the villain because when you see Anakin as a villain, you're resonating with him as Darth Vader. And Darth Vader is like the villain of all villains.
Yeah,
like
he is.
growing. So I think it's
People
very
love Vader.
yeah. So it's very interesting of how people perceive a hero and a villain, but the fact that Vader is both, and people don't care that it's like when he's a hero, they cheer for him as a hero. When he's a villain, they cheer for him as a villain. I think that's very interesting, and you don't get that too much with a character.
You really don't. Yeah, everyone loves Vader, man. Everyone, whether he's in full Vader mode, people love him. Whether he's in Anakin mode, we love him. It's a great character. He really is a great character, and he has a lot of depth. I want to see Disney kind of dive. I talked to it a little bit with our buddy Tones, right? Where we're talking Star Wars Celebration, but if Disney does it right, I'd like to see them tap into that character more.
Yes.
And kind of dive into like the psychology of like what would it like. Imagine being in that position. You're now you have no arms, you have no legs, you're burnt, you're you're disformed. Now you're in this machine basically.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of like the Vader sort of mindset of him kind of going through all that.
True.
You know, like what, like because that's gotta take a toll on you mentally, man. Like that's crazy, right? So I would love to see some content in regards to that. Will Disney do it? I don't know. It's risky though, because Vader is beloved. We love Vader, and we love Anakin. You know, and so once you touch that character, it gets a little dicey. The fans get particular, but I don't know. It's a catch-22 because I want more Vader, I want more Anakin, but at the same time, I don't want Disney to mess it up either.
Yes.
So it's like,
well, it's sort of like how they did the one year with the Star Wars weekends down at Hollywood Studios when they had Vader coming out doing like break dancing and doing the moonwalk of Michael Jackson. It was like, okay, that's getting a little bit too much.
Too much. When you got Boba Fett out there twerking,
yeah,
I don't like it. I mean, I want them to have fun with Star Wars, but I don't want them to be corny with it.
Yeah.
Like that was corny.
That was like, yeah. If you want to do that kind of like with the Fab Five, that they're dressing up like their favorite Star Wars
That's
character,
fine.
But when you're
Vader,
actually taking the character itself, like, yeah, that was cringy to watch. I know people were having fun with it, but I was like, dang.
Yeah, I mean, there's a different. There's like, that's the thing with Disney. Before they bought Star Wars, they were overly fun with it, like overly corny and cheesy with it, and cringy with it. They got Vader out there dancing. You know, you got Boba Fett twerking, super horrible stuff. But but then you have Disney buys Star Wars and they do like this Galaxy's Edge thing, and now it's like super serious. We're not going to have any music. All you're going to hear are sound effects when you walk in. And then it's like going in the other direction like too much.
Yes.
Like, can we find a middle ground or the high ground? But a middle ground a little bit where like you're like kind of like, yeah, we're having fun, but at the same time we're not like overly cringy or overly serious.
Yes.
Disney has a hard time right now finding like that with the theme park stuff, finding that middle.
Yeah, and kind of going back to the villains, that also, kind of worries me. Are they going to make the villains, or are they going to make this kind of like a kid-friendly, like dance party kind of thing?
Yeah.
It's like, let the villains be villains.
Let them be villains. If it turns into a dance party thing,
I am curious to see the new show that's going to be opening soon at Hollywood Studios. I think that'll kind of give us a gist as to what we're to expect of Villains Land. Now, they did say that there is going to be music and everything because it is a show at Hollywood Studios, but I think it'll kind of give us a direction of a story base, like for the villains, of how they're going to look, how they're going to act, how are they going to interact with the guests. I think that's going to be very telling.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that all shakes out. But Disney, Universal has shown they have done a great job with monsters. They hit the tone perfectly. We talked about it with Monsters Unchained. That tone was perfect for a Frankenstein manner. The way they hit those beats. All the monsters. This is the tone you want to hit with the Universal monsters. Disney, go with the tone of the villains. Do not sugarcoat it. Do not go too sugary, or as George calls it, Candy Crushy. You want to feel like you're walking into a real area with the villains. You can do creepy. You can do scary without being overwhelming for children. Like Wizarding World, we're in Wizarding World right now, and it has a little bit of that eeriness to it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? When you go through here at night, it's that eeriness, but it has that magical feeling too.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of do that, with the Villain's Land. You can have it a little bit gothic and kind of creepy. You can hear the wind and the rustling leaves, but at the
Yes.
same time, it's not overly scary for kids. But you're giving that tone that you need, though.
Yes.
I just hope they don't ruin it with a bunch of like cartoony characters.
I would love for them to kind of utilize the villains area, sort of like how they did with the Legend of Sleepy Hollow,
Mm-hmm.
like the cartoon
Yes.
that they did with like the combination of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean,
But
we'll see.
yeah. But speaking of, you had mentioned the Universal monsters. Abby and I was having a discussion earlier, and some of our church friends were asking us like, what was to become like, where they put Back to the Future back into the park. And Abby was saying, it would be cool if they were to put Back to the Future back in its original spot and take the Simpsons out and bring it home, so to speak.
Oh, I love it.
And then a good friend of ours was asking and saying, well, I've heard that they may bring the Universal monsters here. Well, where would you put that? And Abby actually suggested taking some pieces of the lot from the tram tour and actually building the Darkmoor in the place where they actually filmed the original films. Like, how cool would that be?
That'd be
To
incredible.
walk the grounds of Darkmoor, of the actual place where they filmed the monster movies.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And they did a little bit something like that with the HSN, didn't they? Didn't we? Wasn't one of the mazes
Yes.
on in the soundstage?
Yes.
Yeah. See,
Yes.
that's the kind of nostalgia that beats that I think will work really well for Universal. I think Abby's idea is brilliant, and I think a lot of fans would really like that. Disney does a lot of that kind of that symbolic stuff.
Yeah.
And it works really well for Disney. Universal needs to tap into some of that energy a little bit. And they are, to be fair, they've started to. We're here tonight at FanFest. We're going to see a lot of Back to the Future. This is a staple of Universal, Back to the Future.
Yes.
And they are leaning hard into it. And kudos to them for that.
Yes.
They should be. You know what I'm saying? And do it now while we still have Christopher Lloyd.
Yes.
And Michael J. Fox.
Yes.
We still have the original cast with us. Lean into it. Let us celebrate this franchise where we still have these amazing legends still around.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
let them bask in their accomplishments.
Mhm.
Because honestly, when people ask to say, "Oh, would you love to see a Back to the Future reboot?" No, absolutely not. Do not touch it.
No, don't touch
I'm
it.
sorry. Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, along with Leah Thompson, Thomas F. Wilson, Crispin Glover, they all made the film of what it was,
Mhm.
and it became an instant classic.
a classic, a cultural, like it shaped pop culture
Yes.
to this day. Dude, I'm a K-pop fan. I love K-pop. Shout out to Jenny, my main bias. I love Jenny. Even in her video, mantra, she gets out of a DeLorean, the Back to the Future DeLorean.
Only you can intertwine K-pop.
See?
Like, you could find it. You could just like get it right.
I
in.
weave it in there so perfectly every time.
Yes.
But even in that video, she hops out of the Back to the Future car. That's a real woman right there.
But yeah, that would be phenomenal. Like, if Universal goes into their past with
Yes.
the films to move forward into the future.
Yes.
Like, that would be, and our good friend actually Bricky uses that all the time, like, go in Disney's past to predict the future, so I think that's a good like formula for both Disney and Universal.
100%. Lean into that stuff, Universal. Lean into that. Lean into your history. You got a lot of great content. You have over 100 years of this stuff. You use it, And like I said, like, I'm not a Minions guy. It's not my demographic. It's not made for me. I understand that. And I'm not saying you should get rid of the Minions. You should absolutely have the Minions around. The kiddos love it.
Mm-hmm.
But mix in some of the other stuff too, though.
Yes.
Mix in some of the stuff for the older people. Some people, millennials or what have you. Mix in some of that stuff too. And I think that you become more of an everybody kind of entertainment conglomerate. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, Universal, you would go. It would take you even further, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're fans of Universal. We're here today. We're excited about FanFest. We honestly, our predictions going into FanFest is it's probably going to blow Disney's after hours events away.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But obviously we still have a Disney bias.
Yeah, but we're truthful with it.
But we're gonna be honest.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and we do like Universal a lot. And honestly, if I could give any kind of friendly advice to Universal, is just lean in more to your nostalgia. And lean into that. So these are beloved franchises. The fact that Back to the Future is getting the reception it's getting.
Yes,
it's the star of the show. Our friends Peter and Kitra, they were there.
Mhm.
They were saying great things about it. So many. Theme Park Wizard was there.
And actually, it's funny that you mentioned and shout out to Mr. Theme Park Wizard. We'll be meeting up with him in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
But I messaged him yesterday because he was here for opening night, and I asked him for the gameplay. How would you go about doing this? Would you suggest going to Hill Valley first and then everything else, or vice versa? And he said, honestly, save Back to the Future for last. He said, get everything else in that you want to do, because he said, like, once you're there in Hill Valley, you're not going to want to leave.
Exactly. And then we're doing Express tonight, right?
Yes.
I got Express. You guys got Express. So we're gonna knock that. We're gonna knock that shit out. So
Yes.
we'll knock the Star Trek thing, the Dungeons and Dragons thing. We'll get all that stuff done, and then boom, the grand finale, Back to the Future.
Yes, absolutely. And there's also one other thing too. Upon Abby's request, she wants to meet Yoshi.
Oh, she will.
She definitely wants to meet Yoshi. So yes, and we'll.
I was trying to meet Mario earlier. Inside
joke. Of course you were.
Inside joke.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, it's going to be fantastic, and we'll have coverage of it on OG55. I'm sure Citrico will have some.
Yes.
We're going to try to get some coverage tonight. It's kind of hard because of like the situation going on. It's kind of loud and crazy, but if we can get some coverage of the actual event, we'll try to do that, even if it's like for Instagram and stuff. So
yes, absolutely. But I want to thank you, bro, for joining me for this awesome bar chat. Love doing these bar chats with you. It seems like it became like a universal thing for us.
It's totally universal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might even rebrand. I might be Universal Guy 55.
OG.
I've been OG.
OG.
I've been here a lot more than Disney, but it's also closer to my house. So
yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah. And honestly, as we always say, like, why should obviously we're always Disney biased. That's our passion. But it's like, why would you have to choose one over the other? You can choose it all. You can choose it all. You can have fun with it all. But I want to thank you all for joining us as well on this very fun, fan festy, as OG calls it, kind of night. We're here. We're going to be enjoying FanFest. We're going to cover it all for you. As I said, we're going to talk about it on Orange Grove 55. I'm going to cover as much as I can for Citrico Central. And as I always say, in Italiano fashion, stay safe, stay healthy, stay... Oh, no. I did it again, didn't I? It's all Universal, baby!